Welcome to First and 30, episode 34. Antonino, tell them what we're doing again.
Hey, we give you 4 exhilarating downs in a short 30 minutes. Your favorite 30 minutes of the week.
That's right. Your favorite 30 minutes coming at you every Wednesday now. We're getting on a routine, man. We're going pro. I mean, we got the video. We already announced that last week. We're on all the channels that you could possibly want to view us on and listen to us. So it's legit over here now.
What more could you ask for every Wednesday? Getting that gift on your phone, that little notification saying a brand spanking new episode is ready.
That's right.
Gotta love it.
Man, dude. And we have a lot to get into, as always. We have 4 downs to kind of uncork this past weekend's action. And there was a lot of action, as always. And this has been a pretty interesting first 2 weeks of the season. I do want to just make a note of that. Like, it seems unique. Like, a lot of injuries. Quarterback play has been pretty degraded. Running backs have gone up. So a lot of kind of interesting stuff happening here in the first 2 weeks of the season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, last week alone, you had 12 freaking games that came within one score. Like, are you not entertained? Like, 12 games, final score within one touchdown? Like, I was losing my mind on a couple because I had some money involved. But I'm so glad football's back. So glad.
That's why you don't put money on the games, man. It turns into this deeper emotional thing where you have like way more riding on it than necessary. Don't you want to just like sit back and enjoy it and not like be sweating over there thinking I'm about to lose my savings?
It makes me feel alive, Nick. I might have a problem. I might have to dial that number.
Okay. Well, man, I reluctantly am going to take us into first down here. And I say reluctantly because this is a disappointment down for not only me, but for Cowboys Nation out there. For those who are just starting to discover the podcast and the channel, I am a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, but I'm starting to wane on that dieheartedness. I'm becoming a loose Cowboys fan, and for reasons, as we saw Sunday, are why. So in this down, man, let's talk about the Cowboys and the demolishing that they had against the Saints. And then on the other end, though, let's also talk about the Ravens. I want to spend some time on the Ravens because misery loves company, and I don't want to be sitting here alone. So I'm bringing the Ravens fans in this with me.
I like it.
Well, are you giving me the platform and the stage just to start off? Are you going to give me this journal?
You're our resident Dallas Cowboys fan, like I went through last week. Now it's your turn. I have the stage set for you. What went wrong with your Cowboys?
I appreciate this because I don't think I've had the proper space to fully, I guess, mourn this loss, really. I haven't thought about it since it happened. But I think, in summary, the defense gave up huge plays and they couldn't stop the Saints at all. So it made me question, is this the same Cowboys defense that played the Packers in the playoffs at AT&T Stadium the last time they were at home? Maybe. Or are the Saints just really freaking good? Maybe both, you know? I mean, what, a 57-yard run by Kamara, 70-yard touchdown by Rashid Shaheed. The Saints scored on their first 6 possessions. Kamara scored 4 times. It was sloppy. It was really ugly. Like, I don't know what was going on, man.
Yeah, I almost feel bad for you when you have Derek Carr come into your stadium and he does the Michael Jackson dance in the end zone. I think they scored a touchdown and he grabbed his man parts and did the Michael Jackson dance.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. At some point, have some pride here. Not a good day in Dallas.
No. And I can't blame the defense completely. I think the offense looked okay. You know, they were moving the ball up and down the field too. They were trying to keep them in the game, honestly, because the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed in this game. But the Cowboys scored on their first 4 of their first 5 first half possessions. But the problem here was that a lot of those scores came in the form of a field goal. So Dallas was getting points, but they weren't finishing drives. They were 0-3 in the red zone. So that's already a recipe for disaster when your defense is just getting bludgeoned by aerial assaults by Derek Carr out of all people. So not a good formula for success with that one.
It's just amazing to me how fast the tide can turn in the NFL. One week you beat the Browns, you're on
Oh my
top of the
gosh.
world, and here you are in
Ah,
Dallas, home field advantage, and the Saints just give it to you. And I just don't know how good this Saints team is yet. They beat the Panthers, a minor league football team, or what have you. That no competition there. So you really wanted to see how they would perform against the Dallas Cowboys team, and the Saints did perform. Dallas, on the other hand, we'll see.
it, I wasn't buying the hype after week 1. It was a decent win against a Deshaun Watson led team. I mean, that's like a high school quarterback you're going up against. So I wasn't impressed with the win. It was okay, cool. You got a game that you should have won. This was another one that kind of felt like a trap to me. I was like, okay, no one's really giving the Saints a chance. They're pretty big underdogs here. We'll see. But my last point here, and then we can talk about the Ravens because I don't want to just focus on Dallas. The running game looks like it's going to be an issue for the Cowboys this season. 6 different players had to get a carry in this game to try to create some sort of effective semblance of a rushing attack. So there's 21 carries from 6 different players on the Cowboys to total just 68 yards. So that's 3.2 yards per carry. And guess who had the longest rush of the day for Dallas?
Was it Dak Prescott, maybe?
It was Dak. He
Oh,
had
I
an
know.
8-yard scamper. None of
Oh
the running
man,
backs broke one more than 8 yards. So it's just
not a good sign.
as I imagined going into the season, if Zeke's your leading back, the running game's going to be an issue. So that's it for the Cowboys, but they have a big game coming up this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens, who are now 0-2, Antonino. So misery likes company. My Ravens fans out there, what is going on? A loss to the Raiders? This was the biggest upset of the weekend.
You love to hear it. Things you love to hear. The Ravens 0-2. Like you said, misery loves company. But I think the reason why this happened was none other than our favorite, Minshew Magic, the Raven Killer, goes in almost 1 year to the dot later. 1 year, 1 week less than a year later,
Oh, yeah.
goes in and beats them again. Last year was with the Colts in overtime at M&T Bank Stadium. This year goes in there, gets over 30 completions, comes from 2 scores down, and just gives them the business yet again. God, I love it.
Yeah, I guess Minshew is kind of the Ravens' Achilles heel, but Baltimore didn't give themselves many favors in this one either. I mean, the first half they could barely run the ball. I think what I had seen, Derrick Henry was averaging under a yard per carry in the first half. The Ravens only had 21 rushing yards in the first half. So what was this team really good at last year, Antonino?
Pounding
Defense.
that rock.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
defense and running it. Yeah, they were the league's best rushing unit. And Derrick Henry doesn't seem to be cutting it. He did finish with 84 yards, but I don't think
He
it's
did
just
finish.
him. Yeah.
But Derrick Henry, there's got to be instructions to this. He's like an old muscle car. He gets better as it warms up. You got to give this guy 25 carries to really get the engines going. And as you saw, as the game went on, the defensive line gets tired, and he starts breaking more runs, longer runs. He got a taste of that old feel. And I'm like, hey, how does this guy only get 18 carries when you have a 2-score lead? Something's not right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I've been listening on the Fan 105.7, which is the local Baltimore area sports talk show, and this will be my last point here. It's sounding as though the Ravens have quite a up and coming offensive line, and you can see it happening in this game. The offensive line, they're kind of like plugging in different pieces, a lot of new faces, some young guys, inexperience. And the line is honestly having a lot of issues during these first 2 weeks. And we saw it in week 1 against the Chiefs. That's why they were going double tight end set a lot. Mark Andrews was getting a lot of the blocking assignments while Isaiah Likely was kind of servicing as a wide receiver. But they were needing to pack the line because they don't trust these guards and these tackles right now. And we could see it happening here in this game against the Raiders. Max Crosby just busting through some holes. They were stopping the run in the beginning of the game. Ravens were starting to kind of figure some things out. Lamar had to rush it a bit more. So, yeah, the offensive line is going to be a project for Baltimore all season, I think.
Don't look now, but on my social feed with all my friends from Maryland, I'm seeing a lot of fire Harbaugh. Already it's
Oh,
coming out, fire
stop.
Harbaugh, and they're
God.
Baltimore Ravens fans. fire Harbaugh. And then how about the old faithful Justin Tucker missing kicks for the second straight week, 0 for 2 over 50 yards,
Yep.
when the rest of the league over 50 yards is 35 for 37. So somehow these longer field goal kicks are going in for everyone, but Justin Tucker might have the yips. Don't know.
Yep.
That's a problem in Baltimore. Like, burn it down. Burn it down. That's it.
Yep.
Over, folks.
1 for 7 since last season on 50-yard plus kicks. Last thing, I'll just leave us here, and then let's move into second down. The Ravens are 0-2. This is their first 0-2 start since 2015. They finished 5-11 that year. All right. Boom. Closing the book there. Second down, man. Let's spotlight the game of the weekend between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bengals. No, folks, we're not just homers here. And I'm not just pulling this game out of the bag because we had to talk about Dallas getting dismantled against the Saints, but low-key, I think we are, because I don't want Antonino to get off the hook. Antonino, what happened, man? What happened to your Bengals?
Do I start with the referees? Do I start with corruption and conspiracy? Where do I start with this? That's a fully loaded question. But at the end of the day, there's just plays that were made on one side and not the other. We had key drops in certain spots. We had Jamar Chase lose his mind one play, got a 15-yard penalty. We had Burrow fumbled the ball. They returned it for a touchdown. Like, complete off the wall stuff. Our field goal kicker missed the extra point. You name it, it happened. But we still had a lead with 2 minutes left, and we had the ball, and we just couldn't close it out. And we gave Mahomes and the referees a chance. And like usual, the same trend that continues to happen, they let him off the hook, and Mahomes comes away with the win. Gosh darn it.
So I appreciated some of your response there, because it seemed as though you were willing to take some accountability for your Bengals, that, okay, they had this one, but there was some self-inflicted wounds and errors that were costly, that opened up the opportunity for catastrophic mistakes to bungle them. And almost, you kind of treaded a line there of maybe even like a conspiracy, that because they couldn't close this one out, they left the door open for the refs and Mahomes to conspire to win this one for the Chiefs.
Yep. So since 2018, I'm going off my memory here. Since 2018, Patrick Mahomes has had 29 takeaways called back by penalties on the opposing team. What a coincidence. This game, he threw an interception, got called back for a very, very weak holding call on Travis Kelce, who, mind you, had one catch for 5 yards. And basically, we made Mahomes look pedestrian. He had his worst game as an NFL player. He threw for 151 yards, the lowest in his career that he started a game and finished a game. So give that some thought. We did not stack the box, not once all game. We let them run, and we just played back and put a cork in it. They couldn't do anything. So like you said, self-inflicted wounds, so painful to see us lose the way we did.
It is. And it was really reminiscent of how that AFC Championship game, 2 years ago, played out. Similar situation. Bengals had the Chiefs, it was a 4th down play in that one too. Mahomes throws it up, a killer penalty on the sideline where there was like a late hit on the sideline. Similar thing here, just it's like the Bengals just, it's just like the Bengals are getting a little too hyped. They're like, the adrenaline's pumping, like the defenders are knowing, like, okay, we get this stop, we win this game, we beat Mahomes in Arrowhead. They had it. There was no reason to do what he did.
I'm getting nauseous just talking about it, because I am having flashbacks, but I have a major problem here with the defensive coordinator allowing that player to be on the field at that moment in time. That was a 7th round pick, safety, backup on the field, number 33. He shouldn't have been on the field when you have Mike Hilton on the sideline, seasoned veteran, and other players that are capable. We should have used 4 linemen on that last play instead of rushing with 3, kept Mahomes in the pocket. But at the end of the day, you can't commit that penalty. I don't care if it's your first play in the league. He was going for the ball, and they say both players have an equal right to the ball, but he got there a little early, and I think it was unnecessary because it was an uncatchable ball anyway.
I'm happy, though, that you are admitting that it was a penalty because I'm just going to let the listeners know. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm going to let them know really quick. When I texted you after this play happened, everybody, all I heard from Antonino, it was just like the refs are out to get us.
Mhm.
The NFL's conspiring against the Bengals. That wasn't a penalty. Then he sends
But
me a definition of what that penalty would have been. I'm like, dude, it's a penalty.
so both players have equal right to the ball. This was similar to a Hail Mary. This was a 50-something yard penalty. When you throw a Hail Mary, you see 6, 7 guys jumping for the ball. They all crash into each other at that last second. They never call pass interference on a Hail Mary because it's a jump ball. Same thing in this case. You're throwing the ball 50 yards down the field, 4th and long. It's a Hail Mary play. Both guys jump up for the ball. In that situation, the ref should not call it at that point in time.
Loose interpretations, I think. But all right, man. Hey, it's time to bury it. Bury both of these losses for our teams. It's over. Week 2's behind us now. So you know what else is behind us? The first 2 downs. That means it must be time, Antonino, for the half-minute halftime show. Kick us off.
That's right. Vegas cleaned up again this weekend. The sportsbooks won big. The 6 largest favorites didn't cover the spread this weekend. Underdogs just took over. 84% of the tickets last night were on the Eagles. They lost. Ugly left and right, but hang in there. It's only the first 2 weeks of the season. We'll get that money.
All right. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and Apple Music. Click that notification bell icon to stay in the loop once a new episode drops of First and 30. And that does it for the half-minute halftime show, Antonino, which means we're heading into third down. And you alluded to this just now in the half-minute halftime show. The Eagles collapsed on Monday Night Football, and we'll call it a collapse because this game was, right, it was in the bag. They had this thing won, and inexplicably, some poor play calls, poor decisions, poor clock management, whatever you want to say about it. The Eagles did that, and the Falcons took advantage of it, and the rest is history. 22-21 was the final. So just give me your instant impression. This is fresh in our minds as we're recording this episode.
Yeah, this was ESPN's Monday Night Football game, and the E in ESPN stood for Eagles. I swear the whole game, they were tooting their horn, just all praise to the Eagles. Travis Kelce was on the set. It was just all about the Eagles. Jason Kelce, yep. Oh, yeah, Jason Kelce. Everyone was on the bandwagon. They're in Philadelphia. Happy times, right? But then our boy Kirk Cousins comes in. 3-10 on Monday Night Football, 9-game losing streak. Doesn't matter. Come off of Achilles injury. Doesn't matter. Had a bad game for 3 quarters. Does not matter. He gets the ball with 2 minutes left, and he comes through in the clutch. Gotta love it.
So I first want to talk about, what occurred. The Eagles had that play, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, whatever it was, under 2 minutes, Atlanta with 0 timeouts, and you have a decision to make. You could either run the ball, which the Eagles did very well last night, 37 carries, 186 yards. That's 5 yards a carry. So 5 yards a carry, you only need 2 or 3 yards. Run it. If you don't get it, maybe you do a tush push from for a 1 yard pickup, or you kick either way, you have some options. But I think this was kind of inexplicable by the coaching staff and Kellen Moore, who's the new offensive coordinator there. They decided to do a bootleg. Hurts rolls out, throws one out in the flat to Barkley, a little bit out of reach. Barkley probably could have caught it, but either way, he's taking all the responsibility. And after the game, even though I don't think this is his fault because he shouldn't have been put in that position to begin with.
Yeah,
run it.
Yep. And fun fact, Saquon has dropped 16 passes since 2021, the most out of all running backs in the NFL. The guy is known to drop passes. Why? Why must Sirianni do the most? You've been running down their throat all game. It's been working. It's 3rd and 3. You could technically have 2 downs to get this first and make them burn that timeout on top of that. And mind you, this is forgotten. Earlier in the game, they went for it on 4th and goal. They did a similar play. It didn't work. They didn't take the points, and they made the same mistake twice. It just doesn't make sense no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, no, it was silly. I couldn't believe it happened. And like you alluded, Cousins and the Falcons just chunk play after another, drove downfield easily. And that kind of alludes to another point that I noticed in this game. Two quick things about the Eagles defense did not bring a blitz at all. And that's a Vic Fangio thing. He always likes to do his too high look, blitz with 3 or 4 guys, or have rush coming from the 3 or 4 down linemen. But you're playing against a 30-something-year-old quarterback who's not even recovered yet from an Achilles injury last year. And this was just, I didn't understand this in the broadcast. Aikman kept saying, "Oh, he looks like Cousins," alluding to Cousins. Like, he looks fantastic. He looks so much better than last week. In my mind, I'm watching this game, I'm like, the dude's not putting anything on some of these balls. He was missing a lot of passes. He just looks slow, and he looks like he is a hit away from re-injuring his leg. It's just like one bad step and Cousins is just going to like flop. So I don't know why the Eagles didn't bring any rush on this guy.
Yeah, and that last drive, I think, like you said, coaching ineptitude is what I want to call it. They did not protect the sideline at all. It's a 2-minute drill. At that point, I don't think they had any timeouts left. And each throw they completed was on the sideline. As a defense, that's what you're protecting is the sideline. Force them to run the clock. They couldn't even do that. It's Atlanta, what they did this game, bend but don't break on defense, and Kirk Cousins made the plays when he had to. At the end of the day, the Falcons got the win. And I have the Falcons, if you recall, as my preseason Super Bowl prediction. And it used to be the Eagles. I changed it to the Falcons. And as you saw here, Sirianni might have saved the Falcons season here with one decision, just like that.
Yeah, because Atlanta has Kansas City on Sunday night, I believe, coming up this week, which I guess a lot of people are assuming Kansas City will win that game and Atlanta might be 1-2, but they avoid a potential 0-3 start. They could still contend with the Chiefs. The Chiefs have shown that they're not flawless in these first 2 games. So I think they're very beatable, but bad coaching by the Eagles.
Yeah, I feel like the most important thing for the Falcons was they were able to taper the backup quarterback rumor. Like, Penix is waiting in the sidelines. If they went 0-2, then went 0-3, all of a sudden the locker room split, or they want to try the new guy, and then you have drama. But now all of a sudden 1-1, playing at home against the Chiefs. Chiefs have some injuries. They look like they're vulnerable. Who knows? Different Falcons team going forward.
That's true. Okay, man. Well, let's hop into 4th down. How about it? 4th and forever, last down. I want to get into some fact or fiction here. And, let's go for it, though, right? Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. 4th and forever. Let's go for it, baby.
Let's go for it.
That's it.
So fact or fiction, I'm basically going to give you like a little statement here. We'll say fact, fiction. Those that are listening, join into. Love to hear your opinions on if this is fact or fiction. But the first one I have for you, man, fact or fiction, the Saints are the best team in the NFC right now.
It's absolutely fiction. And I want to beat my fist on the desk as hard as I can, but it's made of glass and might shatter, because I have a surprise team here. And it's a team in the NFC that has the most wins since the year 2020, including the playoffs. It is none other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't get enough credit. They do not get enough credit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, because they are the team to beat in the NFC.
He's favoring those Tampa Bay folks that he's getting to listen to the podcast now down there. I'm not a Tampa Bay hater, though. So I'm not a hater of that at all. So not only do you think the Saints aren't the best team in the NFC, you don't think they're the best team in the NFC South. You think that right goes to Tampa Bay? They're the team to beat. I mean, they've had a pretty impressive 2 wins as well. They beat Detroit this past weekend, which is a good win. But
they went on the road. They exercised their demons on the road where they lost in the playoffs last year. They come away with the win. The Saints, they beat the Panthers, and they quite frankly have a lot of speed, and they just went through that Swiss cheese Dallas Cowboys defense in Dallas. But I firmly believe Tampa Bay, and this is where they want to be. They want to be under the radar. They're 2-0. They're about to play the Broncos at home. I'll be at that game in Tampa. They should go 3-0 if they take care of business against the Broncos. And then maybe, just maybe, the mainstream media might cover them a little more.
Maybe 3-0. They might be one of the last surviving undefeateds. I like how you twisted this too. It was about the Saints and you made it about Tampa Bay. Good
That's
job,
right.
Antonino.
Yes.
I want to get a few more. I want your opinions on these. This is going to be for you. Fact or fiction? Sam Darnold will be a Pro Bowl caliber QB this season. And I'm going to throw another one. And he's going to lead Minnesota to the playoffs.
Ooh, this is a tough one because I really do think they will go to the playoffs. Yes, indeed. So fact there, but Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, I'm going to say fiction. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. He's off to a good start. Don't get me wrong, but he has a long way to go and he has to survive a 16-game season, 17-game season in which I don't think he has, whether it was with the Jets. He hasn't played in San Francisco. He maybe played one game. So Pro Bowl caliber quarterback might be a stretch, but Minnesota, they're looking good. They look sharp.
Okay. I'm on board with that take. I'll agree on both of those.
Yeah, beating San Francisco. Come on, San Francisco. That's a big one.
That's a big one. Even though San Francisco was missing a few assets and pieces in this game. No McCaffrey, Kittle left to get an IV because of cramps, and then Debo got injured at the end of this game too. So, okay. I want to make sure we have time for these other ones. Fact or fiction? Bryce Young's days in Carolina are over after being benched. The news broke yesterday. So
I'm going to say fiction just because they have so much invested in this guy. Maybe they just want him to sit behind Andy Dalton for 4 or 5 games, get his confidence back, and try one more time. It cannot be the end of the road like this. They're going to give him one more shot.
Yeah, that's probably why they pulled the plug this early too. After they looked at the tape from this past game, I think Canales had had a little bit of a reality check moment. Like, okay, he's just not doing what we're asking him to do, and he's not putting us in a good position to win, which I think Dalton honestly makes the Panthers a little bit more competent without Bryce Young. But I could see them going to Bryce Young if things just don't turn out well near the end of the year. They throw him back in there. All right, one more, man, and then we're going to hop into our 2-minute drill. But fact or fiction, Tua needs to consider retiring from the game.
I'm going to say, this is controversial, but I'm going to say fiction. Tua does not need to consider retiring. He should consider retiring because at the end of the day, he should do what his heart tells him to do. He should really, if he loves playing the game and he can accept the consequences, play the game. Who are we to judge? We're not doctors. If he wants to play, let the guy play.
I mean, he knew what the risks were going into this sport. Like, all these players know the risks, even if you don't have these well-documented concussions. A lot of guys are still walking around with concussions, unfortunately. Yep. I think the difference, though, here is that there's so much awareness around his situation in particular, and the guy has guaranteed money. Like, really, what's keeping him there besides, I guess, fame and glory, like getting a
love of the game.
Yeah, the love of the game.
The love of the game.
Or the love of the game. Nothing to do with fame and glory. But, okay, man. I think that's it for fact and fiction. I'm glad that we could cover those. But I want to hop into our 2-minute drill now. I think it's time. Let's give kind of like the quick takes. What's happening around the league?
Well, today's a special day. It's Patrick Mahomes' 29th birthday, but he has a little bad news because his running back, Pacheco, has a fibula injury and will be out 4 to 6 weeks, and I don't feel bad at all.
Yep, and there's a Kansas City reunion happening. Did you hear about this? Kareem Hunt signing to the Kansas City practice squad, reuniting with the team that drafted him not too long ago.
Similar to Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon was upset after a controversial non-call on a hip drop tackle. He did not get seriously injured, and neither did Jamar Chase, but look for more hip drop tackle flags in the future.
Yep, and then another big injury for the Rams. If you didn't see it, Cooper Kupp is expected to miss time with a lower ankle injury. I think they put him on IR today, so he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. Puka Nacua out for a couple weeks, so injuries are piling up.
Another injury out of New England. The Patriots standout linebacker Jawan Bentley tears his pec, and he's done for the year.
Yikes. Injury. I mean, Russ Wilson, he had that calf injury. Right now, the news is that Justin Fields is preparing to get his third consecutive start. So we didn't know a lot about Russ's injury. It seems like it was kind of serious. Justin Fields is probably going to get the start again this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanders won. They actually won, and they did it without scoring a single touchdown. They kicked 7 field goals, and even though the Giants scored multiple touchdowns, they still lost. That's a record. Never been done.
Nice. And then A.J. Brown hinted last night during the game that he could end up missing multiple weeks due to this hamstring injury that he sustained during practice leading up to the Monday night game against Atlanta. So a lot more serious than what we were led to believe, it seems.
Jacksonville Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram injures his hamstring, and the worst part about it, it was during warm-ups. You hate to see it.
Yep, and then one more quick one here for Miami. They're signing Baltimore's backup quarterback, Tyler Huntley, from Baltimore's practice squad in response to his injury. So he's expected to sit behind Skylar Thompson, who's going to get the start this weekend.
Last but not least, don't look now, folks, but we have 2 Monday Night Football games next week, and I can't wait. Jags, Bills, and then Commanders, Bengals. Let's do this, baby. Football's back. Can't wait.
Heck yeah. And that does it for our 2-minute drill. And Antonino, that does it for this episode. It went by quick as always, man. 30 minutes is fast. This was going to have to be first and 60 soon, I think.
Well, you got 2 30-some-year-old guys, and we give it to you in 30 minutes. It's been a pleasure as always, and you know the drill. We'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.
Yep. So thank you for joining us for another episode of First and 30. Until next Wednesday, remember, when your number's called, no matter the odds,
let's go for it.
Yeah.